London, 1895. Children are put to work in Victorian factories.
I cut my hand. There was blood everywhere.
The work is grueling and often very dangerous.
I know it's a risk, but I'm not too worried because it just gives me a bit of money in my pocket, keeps me out of trouble.
Grim images of a bygone age? Well, this is London 1995, where more children are working illegally than ever before.
We heard some politicians in recent years talking about return to Victorian values. Well, I think this is an early Victorian value that we wouldn't want to return to.
It's 5:30 a.m. While most teenagers are still asleep, Daniel Knight is getting ready to go to work. Daniel is just 15 years old and has been working since he was 12. Today, he's off to a South London building site.
My brother got a job with someone my dad knows, and he asked me if I wanted to do a day's work. He liked the way I work, so I kept on doing it. Well, I'd be digging, lifting bricks, giving them bricks to do the labouring with. Just basically helping them.
Daniel from Eltham works up to 40 hours a week after school and at weekends.
I want to be a bricklayer and a moulder, so it's good work experience for me.
Under the law, you shouldn't be working there. It's illegal. What do you think about that?
I know it's illegal, but it gives me money in my pocket and it keeps me on the street, so it's legal going out nicking as well. It's a choice.
Daniel will receive £25 for his 12-hour shift. When his working day finishes, Paul Robinson's is just beginning. For the past 2 months, Paul has worked from 5 p.m. till 9 p.m. nearly every night after school and all day Saturday as a telephone salesman.
I got the job in about April by my cousin. I've been working here for about 8 weeks, roughly. What it is, it's telesales. We're selling brochures, it costs £50. So you can stay in a hotel 14 nights for free, just pay for your meal. OK, then.
He was paid £30 a week plus commission on each sale.
OK, bye.
Did you know that you working those hours was illegal?
Yeah. But I weren't really bothered because I needed the money to go and buy some clothes and go out with my mates.
Did your employer know how old you were?
Yeah, he did. He knew I went to school as well, because my cousin told him my age.
And he wasn't bothered by it?
No, not really.
For many children, a part-time job is just a way of earning some extra pocket money. Some parents even regard it as an essential part of growing up. It's character building and it encourages responsibility. But this report, exclusively obtained by the London programme, paints a very different picture. It claims that a generation of children are having their lives ruined by unscrupulous employers. Using official statistics and recent research in London, Birmingham and Glasgow, the report estimates that 1.5 million children are working illegally in Britain. Of these, nearly 500,000 are in the capital. The report's author is Labour MP Anne Clwyd, who's been campaigning on the issue for the last 10 years.
More and more children are working just to supplement the family income. And quite often their parents don't know what they're doing is illegal. And there are employers, of course, who are prepared to take anybody to work for them. Doesn't matter whether it's illegal, what age they are, how dangerous the job is, how much that child will suffer by lost education in the future, as long as they can get that job done.
There are strict laws governing the employment of children. Under 13s aren't allowed to work at all. Children over 13 can only work outside school hours and must have a permit. Even then, they can only work a maximum of 20 hours each week.
When you find that children are being killed, children of 14, of 15 are being killed because of the work that they do, when you find that children are being injured because their fingers are being sliced or some other nasty injury is done to them as a result of the illegal jobs they're doing, then I think there's something very wrong in Britain today.
In March, an inquest heard how this 15-year-old boy lost his life while working in a Midlands factory. Dean Alsop drowned in a vat of water after being overcome by chemical fumes. He was employed illegally by Highlight Metal Finishing. They were fined just £1,000. It's estimated that 150,000 child workers are seriously injured in Britain every year. These are the real-life testimonies of London children who've been injured while working illegally.
I'm 15 years old and I've worked for a removal firm. Normally, when we have to move big things, someone helps me. But this time I had to move some stuff by myself and I fell over on some railings and cracked some of my ribs.
I was 12 years old and working as a mechanic fixing brakes. I had a big spanner and by accident I smashed it onto my knee. Because of that I couldn't walk properly for 2 weeks. Another time I dropped a toolbox on my foot and it's broke my toe.
Well, I was 12 years old and I was working as a gardener and I had to go to hospital once because I electrocuted myself and I was using the Flymo. I'm not sure what happened, but there was like a big bang and I had all burns up my hands and arms and it hurt a lot.
When I was 12, I used to work with my dad in a clothing factory and I used to have to use a really sharp knife to cut things. One time I slipped and I cut my hand really badly. I had to go to hospital and have stitches.
Last year, 14-year-old Shokat Rashid had his arm ripped open at a textile factory. It had become caught in a spiked drum, known as the breaker. The Manchester company was fined £200. If children are injured, there's little chance of compensation.
If a child is employed illegally, then the employer is not covered by employer's liability insurance. And that means that if something goes wrong, then there is no way that that can be paid for through the normal insurance process.
When I was 13, I was working in a pub. One time I was collecting the glasses and I dropped one. I went to pick up the bits and I slashed my hand. There was blood everywhere.
For child workers like Daniel, injuries are almost routine.
How dangerous is it doing that?
Well, you can hurt yourself little bits because in case the bricks fell off the wheelbarrow. It's happened to me before. I went on my feet.
How badly did you hurt yourself when you did that?
No, I just, like, my toe broke. That's it.
And do you think that you're too young to be doing a job like this as such?
No, not really. I want to do it.
What do you think about Daniel working on a building site at his age?
Well, I don't mind him working. Like most of the time. I know he is responsible. I do worry sometimes. Like if he starts overdoing it. I let him do like so much.
Greenwich Council was so concerned about the problem, they recently carried out the first survey of child labour in London. 1,600 school children were sent detailed questionnaires. The results were disturbing. Nearly 80% of those who had jobs were working illegally, and of those, 35% had been injured. Many needed medical attention. Injuries included broken limbs, cuts and bruises, and a number of dog bites. Social worker Karen Reardon works for Greenwich Council. Following the survey, she's about to become the first full-time child employment officer in the capital.
I think that what we've discovered that it is a problem. It's a large problem. I find my in-trays is just overwhelmed with calls, messages, notes from the public to tell me about cases that need following up.
Eaglesfield Secondary School in Woolwich. Karen Reardon has been invited to talk to a class of 12-year-olds about child employment. This is the front line in the battle to stop children being exploited.
So rule number 1, no child under the age of 13 years may work. That's a blanket rule that rules right across the country. So as a general rule, all of you need to know that at the moment, none of you may work. It's illegal. Supposing you're going to do a paper round.
Ironically, children who work long hours illegally can damage their future job prospects.
I know, I'm not allowed to. Some Karen woman...
They're tired, they can't concentrate, their exam results suffer. Teachers have to be alert to the warning signs.
The most obvious one is that, for example, a child who is getting up at the crack of dawn to do either a paper round or a milk delivery round or perhaps work in one of the local markets, you know, they're up doing perhaps a couple of hours of quite strenuous work before they even arrive in school. And for some of them, they actually have to work after school as well. So we have to monitor very carefully to see if there are signs of their academic work being affected by that.
I think working did affect my schoolwork because I was lacking in class, I was tired, I just didn't have much time for homework, and I was just too involved in work.
He didn't do his homework properly. I've had letters coming through to from the school now, knowing in 6 weeks that Paul did work, his homework wasn't done properly at all.
This 15-year-old building site worker didn't want to be identified. He hasn't been to school regularly for 3 years and has no intention of going back. The local authority has done everything in its power to try and get him to school, including taking action against his mother and stepfather. Last year, they were prosecuted and fined more than £1,000 for failing to ensure their son attended school. They too wish to remain anonymous.
He was earning more of a living outside than he could ever in school, and he didn't see much point in school.
I mean, when you found out, what was your feeling? What was your feeling about it?
My feelings were, well, he's working, he's not leading a life of crime, he's doing something with himself. He wasn't going to school, so he must be out there working.
I'd rather he didn't, but at the same time, I can't afford to give him the money that he'd need if he wasn't working.
Does it worry you that he's working on building sites
all the
where
time,
not
all the
safe?
time, all the time, in case he has an accident, in case a forklift runs over him. He's driving a forklift sometimes, and sometimes it really scares the life out of me.
He's driving a forklift?
Yes.
At 15?
Yes.
Doesn't he understand that it's better for him to be in school in the long run?
I'd rather him be at work than doing a life of crime, much as I said before. At least I know where he is every day and not having to go thieving. He has to work for this money, even though it's slave labour. He's not going to learn nothing in school anymore. He's missed too much schooling.
But it must worry you as a mother that your boy's in this situation.
It does. But there's not a lot I can do about it anymore.
There is truancy and vandalism, particularly amongst those children who work illegally and who neglect their schooling. And obviously that is going to tell later on, of course, when they try and get on to higher education and not able to because they haven't got the right qualifications. And that is probably going to mean that those children are later going to take it out on society in other ways because they have been misused by society when they should have been protected.
It's easy to see why many employers are prepared to flout the law. Children provide a cheap and plentiful supply of labour. In this invisible economy, there's no national insurance, no unions, and rock-bottom wages. A child labourer on a building site, for example, might earn £2 an hour. An adult doing the same job would get at least 3 times as much. We wanted to find out just how easy it is for children to find illegal and potentially dangerous work. Daniel agreed to visit building sites in South London with a friend. We equipped him with a concealed camera and a microphone. First site, no luck.
Is there any labouring going around?
Not that I know of, no. No? No.
All right, mate.
All right?
All right, cheers.
On the second site, a model response.
Mate, any labouring jobs going?
Yeah, but we haven't got labouring jobs, we have to be 18 as well. So, are you 18?
15. I've had experience, though.
We're not allowed to take people on it.
But on the third site, here in Plumstead, age didn't seem to matter.
Is there any jobs going? Labouring going?
Well, you just left school?
I haven't yet, mate. I'm 15.
If you're looking again a couple of weeks, we can
We spoke to Mount Anvil, the company responsible for the site. They told us it is the policy of this company not to employ any underage labour. We're not aware of any instance where this policy has been breached. Child Employment Officer Karen Reardon is in Woolwich Market.
£3.
It probably as well to try the fruit stall. It's something that kids like doing. The way that I like to work is to inform employers of the regulations so that when they make a choice to employ a child, they're doing so with the information that they need to make the correct choice.
Not everyone is receptive to her message.
Can you spare me a couple of minutes?
No, dear, I'm on my own.
I want to give you information about child employment, which it's probably better for you to have than to not have.
We don't employ children.
My name's Karen Reardon. I'm the Child Employment Officer for the London Borough of Greenwich. And what I'm doing today is I'm making sure that people on the market are aware of the child employment regulations. So it's about making you less vulnerable as well as the child.
I'm all for children working, really. I say they should be able to work. And I'm all for it. I've worked since I was 13 years old myself. It's kept me out of trouble all my life.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've never ever had a permit.
Tony Marchant is just 12 years old. He rarely attends school. Most days you can find him working on a fruit stall in Lewisham Market.
I pack out all the fruit, even bananas. And then when it's all packed out, some customers come out and then they pick out bananas, whatever they want, and then they come up to the counter and I say how much it is, they give me the money, and then I give the change back.
Tony lives in Kidbrooke, southeast London, with his mother Debbie and 7 sisters. She says he earns £15 a week. Debbie's concerned about her son's persistent truancy, but claims he's bullied at school. Working, she believes, has helped him.
Before, Tony was very aggressive. He used to be picking on his sisters all the time, very bad-tempered, because he didn't have no money and other kids were getting things that he wanted and he couldn't afford them. But his behaviour's changed a hell of a lot.
What do you think about the schoolwork that he's missing?
I think he needs to catch up. But obviously I can only try and make him go to school. I can't turn around and take him because like of having the other children. But he needs to catch up a hell of a lot.
Do you not think it should be basically your responsibility as a mother to make sure he does go to school?
Yeah, it is my responsibility. But as far as I know, once they go outside the door, they're on their way to school. He leaves here at 8 o'clock in the morning to go to school. Doesn't have to be in until 20 to 9. I don't know where he goes after that.
It's illegal for any 12-year-old to work. We witnessed Tony helping on the Lewisham stall. But stallholder Don Redden denied employing him.
Tony Marchant, who's only 12.
He doesn't work for me, Governor.
He doesn't? Did you know it's illegal?
He comes along and he goes in his coat with cups of teas and things like that. He doesn't work for no one in particular.
And you pay for him?
No.
You pay him?
No, don't give him nothing. All he wants to do is stand around and someone have a chat with him. Because he's not at school, because that's not down to me, is it?
Do you know it was illegal to pay him or give him money during school term?
Look, did I ask for this? No, I didn't. I don't want you here.
London street markets are a major employer of children, according to the Greenwich survey. But it also reveals that they're landing an amazing variety of illegal jobs. Like the 14-year-old gamekeeper in Kent who goes to work with a double-barreled shotgun, or the 13-year-old girl employed by kennels to exercise pit bull terriers. Even more surprising, the survey found that children are being employed illegally by the professions. Karen Reardon is on her way to a dentist's practice in Plumstead. She's acting on a tip-off from a member of the public.
It's been reported that a young girl is working. So the sort of work she'll be doing is a dental surgery assistant's job, which entails working with developer and fixer solutions, as well as amalgam, which contains mercury. Not only is this work illegal, but it's actually quite dangerous for a young person to do, and it should be done with strict supervision.
The practice belongs to Mr. Sergit Fote.
Is it possible that you could get the dentist or the person who's managing the practice at the moment?
Nobody was keen to talk to Karen. It
It
emerged that Mr. Fote was at a different practice. Karen reached him on the phone.
She does work here, is that right? And she is 15 years of old, age?
She's 15 and 8 months. She's 16 in September.
Right. And she's at school?
It's my sister.
Mr. Fote declined an interview but told us, "I was unaware of the laws governing the employment of children under 16. As soon as I became aware of the laws, I acted immediately, and now do not employ any children under 16.
He was standing by the
Long, grueling hours at work can blight a child's life for years ahead. Marlena Daniels is a 19-year-old cabaret singer. She began working the nightclub circuit when she was just 13. Most nights she'd be singing in clubs until 2 o'clock in the morning.
I started to miss like more and more school because I was like having really late nights, not going to school the next day, and you know, being taken out of school for a lot, long periods of time.
You've got a reputation in these parts.
I don't really keep in contact with anyone from school because I hardly was there, I did have, when I used to go and, hang out with people and stuff, and then they wouldn't see me for, months because I'd be off working, so I kind of, lost touch with them.
Marlena believes starting work so young meant she missed out on her childhood.
I didn't know how to relate to people my own age because everyone in the band was a lot older, and I had to act a lot older and look a lot older, and I felt like I'd been robbed a bit of being like a normal teenager. I felt I had to act, like a 20-year-old woman all the time.
Last year, the European Commission issued a directive on child employment. It says that no child should work except in special circumstances, and then for no more than 12 hours a week. It's been accepted by all EC countries apart from Britain. Our government decided not to implement it fully, allowing children to continue to work up to 20 hours a week.
Stop telling us how many hours we're allowed to work. Stop telling kids they can't earn pocket money from doing their paper rounds. Stop the rot from Brussels.
I think it's shameful that government ministers have suggested that the problem of child labour in this country is confined to newspaper deliveries. They've tried to dismiss all of the physical dangers, all of the educational dangers of the very extensive amount of child labour we have in this country by simply saying that this is newspaper boys and newspaper girls earning a few extra bob each week to buy the trainers. In doing so, they are placing young people's lives at risk. They are being dangerously complacent.
For the past 2 years, Junior Health Minister John Bowis has been responsible for child employment. He refused to be interviewed, but his department told us, "For many years, we've had a comprehensive set of laws to regulate children's employment. There's no convincing evidence that the illegal employment of children is widespread." Despite the government's assurances, only 222 employers in the last 16 years have been prosecuted for illegally employing children. With the start of the school summer holidays in 2 weeks' time, tens of thousands of children will be working illegally across the capital. This invisible army will be uninsured, underpaid and exploited. Many will be putting their lives in danger.